In the last episode, we were able to collect data we want from multiple companies from YouTube using a loop. Let's say for economic research purpose, we need to collect the subscriber count for hundreds of companies, and apparently we cannot simply print the output in this black console like we did in the last episode, and we want to store it somewhere else on our computer permanently so we can retrieve our data later on. And so in this episode, I will teach you how to store the information we collected from Python script into a local file, and then we can use it for other purpose, or maybe put it into Excel or spreadsheet or something else. So in order to store something on your computer, you definitely need to create a file. To create a file in Python, what you need to do is first create a variable. In our case, we will call it our file. This is just a name for Python to reference the file we are creating. And let's give it a name. Let's call it, before we do that, we need to put in the keyword open. You see it's turned on to purple by Replit. That's because Python recognized that as a special keyword for creating a new file. Open, inside the braces, we need to put in the file name we want to give it. Let's call it example file .txt. It's gonna be a simple text file, and put a comma by the end of the file name. And after the comma, we need to tell Python in what mode we want our file to be. In our case, or in my opinion, in most cases, you will be using the appending mode. In short, it will be A. By simply putting double quote and A there, you are notifying Python and tell it this is a file we want to append text on it, right? Simple enough. And now we have our file. How do we write some text on our file? To do that, we're going to first refer to our file. That's the one we were creating seconds earlier, and then put a full stop behind our variable, and it's gonna give us some option to do with this file. The action or the method we are trying to do is write, because apparently we are writing text on the file. So what do we want to write in this file? For now, let's just write some simple text, say hello world, and then give it a full stop. So that is not necessary. And now we have a file written with hello world. We should be done with that, but before we execute the file, or rather before we stop the script, we want to close our file since we opened it earlier here, right? We have open, of course we have close too. That will give us some of our memory back to our computer. And let's comment the code we have from last episode for now, and let's see what we get. And we hit run. Now you see nothing. It's appearing here, but you can see on the left hand side the navigator, file navigator. You see there's a new file which does not exist before, and you click on that, it's gonna show exactly what we asked Python to write on it. Alright, let's delete this file and come back to our main.py, and this is going to be the basic knowledge you need to write to store data onto a file. So let's adapt it slightly to fit in our previous code. Comment all of that out again, so those codes are relevant again. And instead of putting our file this at the last part of our as the last part of our script, let's put it at the beginning. And the text we are writing is not hello world, it's going to be it's going to be our file dot write and you see what we are writing is basically the same thing as what we were printing in the episode 4 video, right? So we simply need to copy all of that, paste that in, we should be good to go. And the file close can just stick there at the end of the file, because we only need to close our file once we are done looping through the code, up there. Alright, let's execute this piece of code, see what happens. Okay, now we can see the file is created, the message is being recorded, the script is done. Let's see what we got in the main text. Okay, we see basically the same thing we want, the same thing we have in the black console, but it seems to me we are jamming all the information together instead of listing them out line by line. Let's fix that real quick. So you see we were writing some text there, right? Blah blah blah. What we can do is at the end of the writing, give it one more plus sign and then give it a double quote, and inside the double quote we say backslash and end. That's a special symbol in basically any string, as it's a special string to simplify change of line or the next line. So let's do that again. This time again, delete our old file, run that again, see what we got. Okay, let's see our new file. Now this time you see we have no more jamming together. We have free data entry listed nicely line by line, and that's basically what it is. And if you want to copy this text into your actual local computer, remember what we are doing here is on the cloud, so that you don't have to set up the environment or install Python and all that stuff. But in real case, in some cases, you might want to save this file onto your hard drive, so you can use it later on, or you can further process it for your actual research. So that's it for this episode. Now you know how to create file and then write data on it and store it permanently on your computer.